Hello there, amazing internet and you superb creatures of the beyond. So, a friend of mine asked me that golden question what if? And this was a few days ago. And I was like, it's one of those hypothetical questions that I really love. But she was asking me in the sense of like, what if I could go back into the past and change something? And obviously, she phrased that very loosely and open to interpretation. And if you know me by now, you know that I had a very savage answer. And I was like, well, if I could go back in time, I would stop the primate evolution and switch it to a mammal one, in particular the raccoons. Because what if you imagine a world full of these fluffy and wonderful, cute bastards? Where they have this Zoro bandana over their eyes and they're stealing skillfully from one another and having lots of fun. Now, that would be a sight to behold. But of course, I got myself carried away. And I did ponder a little bit better on the question. And yeah, sure, we would all love to go back into our pasts and change something in particular that we feel uncomfortable. Like personally, I would have liked to have some people from my past still around, but permadeath is a thing in this world, so it is what it is. We cannot change the past in that sense. And maybe we shouldn't even try to attempt it, in my opinion, because there are many lessons of our past that are important to us and they shape us into who we are today. So on the other hand, uh, she was like, "Well, if I would go back into the past, I would be born in a rich family, and I would have all the money in the world and be happy." And I was like, hmm. But like, can you really see yourself living that rich life? Like really perceive how it feels to be in that position. Because imagine being born in a very rich family, and then as a child you would be sent to all of these private schools, and you would not have your parents around. And maybe as a child you want that closure, you want those things, regardless of how much money there's around. Children don't really perceive money as something wow for them. It's just money and richness. It's something that comes out of necessity sometimes and out of greed and so on. But there are many factors that give you this impulse of wanting to be rich. Not necessarily all the negative ones, but there are positive ones as well. But for a child, it's irrelevant. He wants to have a normal life with normal parents, and that would impact them in a very catastrophic way. And who knows what they can grow up being? Or uh, if you look at the big picture as well as being like a movie star, um, in reality, it's all the small things that um, defines our lives. Because a movie star does not just give autographs all day and go in these big concerts and just walk the red carpet non-stop. This is like maybe 5% of their job. And sometimes they have to work really, really hard behind the scenes. We do not know the full story. There might be like some uncomfortable people to be around. They're being yelled at. They're being forced to say or do things that they don't really correlate with, and all in the name of like selling that movie or whatever. And then you also have to consider the burden of the public opinion, because you constantly are being judged and followed by tabloids, and privacy can actually become a luxury that you have to pay for. In other words, it would be kind of a golden cage, a very beautiful golden cage, but then you have to kind of tread lightly where you step, because if you mess things up too much, the dust can go into the air and blow into your face, you know. I love my metaphors, of course. And this is in the case you are an empath, but having such lifestyles shows us more often than not that this type of people are mm, turned into a more twisted kind of character, you know, and they end up living in their own bubble of reality, and it distorts their view of what happens really happens outside and what normal life in quotes is. And usually that's not for the best. It's sort of mm, very isolating. uh but before we jump into this crazy goose chase of wishing for better opportunities from our past, we should really think about opportunities for our future. Like, mm, what do we want to change today that we do not like about ourselves or makes us not feel comfortable? Because sure, we have flaws, but we can work on them. We're not. It's not an immutable flaw. Sure, some of them are harder to overcome than others, but nothing is really impossible given enough time and patience. So then the question would change from the past into how you can improve the future and ask, what if I work on myself and the opportunities that I really wish to achieve in relatively a near future, let's say. And I always say overshoot, you know, because that way you land your target better or with more accuracy to where you want to land in a comfortable zone. But more than that, it's not only investing and working with yourself, but also investing and working with others around you. And because we can really move into a better future together. And we are social animals, we live in a society, we can't do everything alone. At one point, it's going to burn us out. So, having others around us that we care and we develop relationships with and friendships is so much more easier for us, and it's also healthier. um, but imagine now, like, you would donate to an orphanage, not expect anything in return, and obviously your contribution would not be enough, but maybe others like you also contribute, and then one of those orphans get a better life, and maybe they become the next Einstein. You know, you never know. You know, and he could probably invent something that would change our future and bring us into a golden era, and where we would all be having a safer lifestyle and maybe even change as a species, like how we think and how we approach each other, and maybe not focus so much on capitalism and all of those other ism things, and just focus more on ourselves as human beings. Um, So then the question simply becomes, what if we become more supportive of each other, and what could then happen? You know, that what if is magical in a way. uh, and also, what if we live more in the present as well, you know, and appreciate the people and things that we have right now? Because, you know, we kind of are taught to take things for granted in a way, but the future is uncertain, you know, anything can be taken from you in a blink of an eye. And usually those things could be out of your control, like war, famine, catastrophes, and so on. Of course, we should not live in the fear of a future, you know, because anything can happen, obviously, but it's more of changing our perspective to appreciate um, our efforts and how far we got to this point, including all of our faults of our past, you know. And this is what molds us and shapes us to create our future selves. Learning from the past, living in the present, and hoping for a better future. Because, life is simple, but we just really love to overcomplicate it sometimes, psychologically speaking. But my advice is just live like a happy raccoon, but without the stealing from your friend's part. Unless it's maybe about sweets. You guys stay awesome, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye 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 bye.